Alright, this is the recap for the Troubleshooting 101 class at Playthink. We first start at the very beginning, basic. We first understood what the control point was. The control point is the line that from the dart head to the first contact point of on the leash. So if this is on my hand is the control point. However, the first contact point, such as if I do this number now, that is contacting it, that becomes the control point because now that controls the dart. So whenever we then took this line right here on the ground and we imagine dipping this dart in a can of paint. If we were to swing it, it would draw that imaginary line. Wherever that line goes, that is where the dart is going to go. We then understood that whenever we were to do a foot shot, we place the dart on the ground, we put it on that line, we also put our foot off to the side of that line, making sure our body is out of the way, putting it on the dart just like that, and pushing. Whenever we push, that becomes the new control point. Whenever we do this number, we are essentially doing the same thing, but with our foot. So we come from here. We place our foot in the path of that line, making sure that our control point, or our hand, is not creating a line here, creating a line here, so that the plane is free and clear away from the path. We then went over elbow shots. We understood that this became the new control point. We started with the upspin elbow shot. We went from here. Then we noticed that it slides off that arm. That is the same thing as the control point moving forwards. So from here, we imagine when we do that elbow shot, instead of just popping our arm willy-nilly, we point that line towards our target. If I point that line towards you, in theory, I should be able to hit the camera. So we then went over prodigal. We understood that if we were to put it against here and pull, we're creating tension. It's the same thing as this having tension, except now we're creating that tension by pulling against it. So when we pull forwards against our leg, we can throw it forwards. So we create this line right here. We put our leg in the way because we understood that rope dart is not about bringing the dart to the body, but words are hard. It is not about bringing the dart to the body. It's about bringing the body to the dart. So we have this dart here in the same line right here. We put our leg in the way. We pull forwards and draw that straight line. We then understood that this is a long rope dart. It's a chaotic weapon. However, the more control you can establish, the better. So we don't want to just throw it and then try to grab it. That's no bueno. We want to be able to have a nice, easy drop into our hand. So what do? We once it's against our thigh, we pull up just a little bit. See that? Whoop, that little dolphin jumping up. Whee! So we're going to put our hand in the path of the dolphin's little line. So we're going to go here and just put it right there. If we know where the line is, we don't have to look at where the dart is. We always know what path it's going to take. Next, we went over pull. And for the prodigal, for the people that didn't know how to do the prodigal, we went over how to slow the dart down by moving the control point with it, just like in poi in isolation. And we brought our foot over this line. We cushioned the dart, and then we just placed the dart on that line. We then looked at our lead hand. If it's against our leg, that means our planes are bad. That's the control point, and it's just gonna shoot against the wall. What we want is from here, bringing our lead hand back and kicking out and making sure our toes are pointed and we don't just drop, because if we drop, we have a tendency to do that. If we have our feet up, it can hook around our foot. So we then understood that if we lift up, it generates a plane just like this. So we're not going to think about kicking, we're going to think about lifting. So from here, we get to that position right here. We're going to lift. And from there, if we think about the elbow shot, we want to get in our elbow, we're going to imagine that it's drawing a plane. It's drawing a wall. We're going to stand against the wall just like this. And then we're going to imagine we're going to try to create 2 holes in the wall. Woof. And we're going to go from here to the prodigal, get to that position, making sure that this hand is straight. We're going to lift our leg up into that plane, and don't do that. We're going to go from here. We're going to make sure that we don't let go of the line too early like I did. We're going to lift up into that elbow, and then we're always going to know where the dart is because we drew that line. We don't need to know to look because that line's always there. And then for extra credit, I discussed a little bit about the yin-yang principle, which yin-yang principle is anything that we do, any wrap that we get into, we can automatically get out of it by the polar opposite, either laterally, side to side, or back and forth. If it's here, I'm going to look that it's okay, it's coming out of this side, so I'm going to have to throw it this way. But instead of having to stall it like from a down spin and then just going back the other way, I can just simply take it to the other side and throw it back the other way. Same thing. This is a wrap. Take it to the other side and throw it out. And at the same time, we can do it back and forth. To go over here, I can go take this, turn 180, and now I'm in an upspin. From here, down spin, I turn, now it's in an upspin. And all I gotta do is get out of it, just like that. So that is the recap of the Troubleshooting 101, and hopefully that helped. See you at the next Playthink.